Okay, let's begin. So, what did we see yesterday? First thing, we know how to output anything to the console. We use system.out.println method or print method to output anything to the console. Okay, next we learned how to take inputs from the user using scanner class. We have to import scanner class from java.utils package. Then we will create the object by passing system.in reference to that scanner constructor, and we create object and we take inputs using different methods of scanner, like using that object we call scanner dot next, scanner dot next line, scanner dot next int, scanner dot next double. Like this, we take almost all, we can take all the inputs from the user using scanner class. Then we learned about handling file systems using file class in Java. So what do we have to manage file system in Java? Which class can we use? Answer in the question. Yes, we use file class in order to manage the file systems or file interact with the hard disk to manage that file. Okay, we create the file object giving the path. If that path exists in our hard disk, then it will be pointing to that file object. We can get the name of that file object, we can get the path of that object, we can write to that file, we can read from that file, we can delete that file. All the possible CRUD operations can be done to that file object using that file object. What do we use to write? How do we create file object? File, first of all, we have to import that file class from java.io package. Then we have to create the file object giving a string as the path to that file. And we saw various methods that could be called on that file object. We can call get name, get path, rename to, and some other methods. Can you name some other methods? Delete, yes. Then
is
directory, then exists, then first of all get we should know whether that file exists or not. For that we use exists, file object dot exists. Then we have to check whether it is a directory or file. A directory means folder or file. For that we use is directory. Then we use what get name, file dot get name, file dot get path, file dot delete. These are all the most important. And file, if it is a directory, then we have to get the list of files. So we use what method? What method to get the list of files? Hello?
List files.
Yeah, list files we use to get the list of files. How do we get the names of all the files that is present in the directory? Yeah, we use for each loop and use get name and print all the names of the files that is there in that particular directory. Okay, cool. So these are all the some of the important methods that we should always know about a file class. Then we saw about file writer. Okay, what do we use file writer for? Why do we use file writer? Yeah, to write to the file, to write content to the file. First of all, we cannot write into any folder. We can write only to a direct file, whether it is a text file or any other file that can contain some contents. Okay, so for that we have to import FileWriter class from java.io package itself. Then we have to create that FileWriter object, and with the help of that reference, we will call the write method, and we pass a string or a character or an integer or like that, which will write to that file. Okay, so we use FileWriter.write method. And one more thing we have to be always aware of, that this creating the FileWriter object will throw an exception, which is path not found exception. So we have to be very aware that we will enclose this creation of FileWriter object inside try catch block. And also we should be very aware that we will close this particular FileWriter object in the finally block. Okay, if we do not close, sometimes the FileWriter will not function as expected. That we saw yesterday, when we did not close the FileWriter, it did not write to the file. Okay, be careful that you create the object inside try block, and you should close that object inside finally block. And you have to declare this FileWriter object outside try block, initiate it to null. Inside try block, you initiate it to object. In finally block, check whether it is null or not. If it is null, then you do not need to do anything. If it is not null, then you have to close that FileWriter object. Clear? Any doubts in file class, FileWriter class, anything that you haven't understood? Hello?
No, sir.
No doubts? Okay, cool. Then we have FileReader class. Okay, in the same way as we created FileWriter object, same way we have to import FileReader class from java.io package. Then we have to create the object of this by what should we pass, or what should we pass to the FileWriter in order to, or FileReader in order to create that object? Yeah, we have to pass a file object, or we have to pass a path for that particular file. Anything is okay. It's better to pass the file, and before passing the file, or before creating this file, FileWriter or FileReader object, you create the file object, then check whether that file exists or not, then you create the object, so that you will avoid all the possible exceptions that is thrown. Okay, we create the FileReader object by passing in the file, and by this you can write to that one particular file itself. Yeah, this is a kind of pen or a lens which can read or write to that one particular file. You cannot use this FileWriter as you used scanner to scan both integer, double, next, or next line. You cannot use like that. One FileWriter is for one particular file. Okay, it's like use and throw pen. If you have created FileWriter for one particular file object, then you have to use it for that one particular file only. If you want to reuse that reference, you can derefer that previously pointing object and point to new object. But at a time, one FileWriter or one FileReader can write to or read from only one file. Clear? So FileReader, we use what method to read? Yeah. Can you speak out?
So dot read.
Yeah, we use read method to read from the file. What does that return?
ASCII value of the character in
Yeah,
integer
it
form.
returns an integer value which corresponds to the ASCII value of that character. So if at all it returns, if at all the read method returns -1, then it is sure that it has reached the end of the file. Then we can close reading of the file. So we also saw that how to read file using while loop. We will create file object. We use that object and call read method and store it in some char variable until and unless that char variable has got the value as -1. Then we have till then we have to run the loop and read each and every character and print that character. Clear? Any questions? Any doubts? Any difficulties? Can always ask. Don't feel bad whether if you ask it. I'm really happy. Any doubts, any questions, anybody? All the 42 people in the call. Have you all understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So yeah, then we'll see how to use BufferedWriter and BufferedReader. What is BufferedWriter and what is BufferedReader in Java? Okay, let me open that. Let me share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So at the meantime, let me open Eclipse also. Yeah. As we saw yesterday, the file reader and file writer can write file writer. For example, take only file writer. File writer can write only one character. Even though you pass a string, it can write only one character to the file. Okay, and as the same way, file reader can read only one character from the file. It becomes very difficult. As many letters you have, as many lines you have, as many letters you have to keep accessing the file system and go into that file and keep writing to that file. And file reader also, as many letters you have in that file, those many times you have to go to that file, take one character, come back, give it to your program, then go back, come back, go back, come back. This is the difficulty that is there with what file writer and file reader. For that, there are to overcome this particular difficulty, we have two other classes called BufferedWriter and BufferedReader. Okay, so these BufferedWriter and BufferedReader, these do the same work as file writer and file reader, but only thing they help with is the performance of our program. If you use BufferedWriter and BufferedReader, your program, the performance of your program, the speed of your program increases and your program will become more efficient. Okay, so from now onwards, we'll never use file writer or file reader to read or write from the file. We always use BufferedWriter and BufferedReader. What does it use? It is like BufferedWriter and BufferedReader. BufferedWriter is like a pen and FileWriter is a refill. Okay, you will never forget this. You cannot write without refill, only with pen, right? Like that, BufferedWriter class also is imported from java.io package, and we have to create the object of BufferedWriter like this. For that, we have to give FileWriter. Okay, we have to give this FileWriter is like the refill and BufferedWriter is like the pen. What does this BufferedWriter class have is a special thing is it has a buffer memory. Okay, it will store whenever you want to write something to the file, it will store a minimum number of characters in its buffer. Then it will write all those characters to the file. Okay, such that the accessing of the hard disk and file system, the number of times we access reduces, and it increases the time and performance of our program. Okay, so this is how there is nothing much to talk about this BufferedWriter and BufferedReader. It is as same as FileWriter and FileReader. Only thing that we have to be aware of is we should know what does it do, how does it do. As I told, it will also use write method. Okay, and that write method will first write. The data is not immediately returned to the file, but it is stored in a buffer until it is either full or explicitly flushed. Okay, you have a buffer. I do not know what size, most probably some 16 characters or like that. I forgot. So if you want to write it explicitly, how much ever it has been filled, then you can use a method called flush, or you can, it will write itself to the file whenever that buffer is filled. Okay, so let us test this by coding. I'll just go back to this and I will create a new project, file, new project. It is a Java project. Next, then we have the project name is com.uttara.test.bufferedWriter reader. Okay, we cannot use hyphen like this. We'll use dots. Okay, and everything I select the default values and click enter, and I create a new class in this. So I create a class, right click on the project, new class. Okay, I create a class, test BufferedWriter and reader. Okay, then I need a main method and I finish it. Okay. So here we will create BufferedWriter object. And to import or to use the suggestion, we can use control space, or we can, to auto import things, we can use the shortcut key I tell control shift O. Control shift O. What happened? It is big letter W. Okay, then I do control shift O. No, it's not coming. Control 1. Nope. Control space I hit enter. Okay. BufferedWriter is from the package java.io. As I told, we have to import it and we will create an object BW. And first we will initialize it to what?
New buffered read.
New BufferedWriter, and we should give what?
File writer object.
Yeah, we have to give a file writer object. How can we do that?
Create one file writer object earlier and then pass that here.
New file writer.
We can do that, or we can do this. New file writer of. For file writer, what we should give?
Path.
Yeah, path or file. Okay, we'll go back here and we will take this, copy this and paste it. And we will import Control-Shift-O. This Eclipse is really weird. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Okay. So what is the error? What is the error?
We have to create file class.
We
File
have to
object.
create file object. No. Excuse me. No.
You have to enclose it in a try catch block.
Yeah, we have to enclose it in a try catch block, because it throws an exception. So we will enclose it in try catch block. That's why I asked, what should I initialize this for? Okay, we have to initialize this for null first. Okay, then we will do this so that we can close the writer later. Now we will write to this particular BW dot, we have append, okay, and we have write. Yeah, we can write string offset, something is there, we always use this, and we'll give hello world. Okay, we save this, and finally we will check whether this BufferedWriter is not null. If BufferedWriter not equal to null, then only you can close BW dot close. So even this will give you an exception. So we'll surround it with try catch block. Save this, and we'll give some SOPs so that we will get to know what's happening. Okay, SO main method started, entered try block, and write wrote to the file successfully. Okay, so we will run this. So main method started, entered try block, and wrote to the file successfully. We will go to this test1.txt in file. Okay. Where did we create? I think it is here. File test1.txt. You see, we wrote hello world to this file. Any doubts in this code? Guys, everybody, please don't keep silence. Please ask any doubts here. You have. What did we do? First, we create, let alone all these SOPs. See that we have created BufferedWriter reference and assigned it to null. Then inside try block, we created a new BufferedWriter object. To BufferedWriter, we have to give FileWriter. Always do not forget to do this. You cannot write without FileWriter, only with the help of BufferedWriter. As I said, BufferedWriter is like pen and FileWriter is like refill. You cannot write without FileWriter just by using BufferedWriter. So that you have to pass a FileWriter. Specifically, you have to pass a writer, but FileWriter is a what? Subclass of writer. So you can pass even FileWriter or FileWriter to the BufferedWriter, and you create the path or give the file itself to the FileWriter so that it becomes a writer to that particular file. Then we use bw.write, a write method, to write anything to the file. We can pass integer, we can pass character, we can pass string as the parameter to write method, and that will write to the buffer. That particular method will write to the file. And finally, we will close. We have to close that BufferedWriter using close method. That is the purpose. We have declared this reference outside try block and put assigned null to it at first. But if it is null itself, it has not got initialized to any object like this, then it remains null, and we cannot call that close method on a null object. So we have to check whether it is null or not. Then we will close it. Even this method will throw IO exception. That is why we have to enclose this particular block also with try catch block. Any questions, any doubts, anything that you haven't understood, please ask. Everybody clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Then we'll see how to use BufferedReader. Shall we code it here itself, or shall I create another class? Let's create another class. That will be better. So I right click, new class, test BufferedReader, and I need a main method, and I finish. So inside this, I will create BufferedReader object. Okay. Command space or control space BufferedReader, java.io BufferedReader, and I create the reference, and I ask the same way. For what should we initialize this?
Null.
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 Yeah. Then inside try catch block, we will initialize that BufferedReader to new BufferedReader, and we have to pass a reader. Okay, we have to pass a reader means we have to pass a file reader. As you can take an example of eyes and lens. Okay, BufferedReader is like lens, and buffered file reader is like eye. You cannot read only with lens, you need to have eye, so that you have to pass a file reader to this file reader object, and for this file reader object you got to new file reader of, got to pass what? Got to pass the path. Copy this, paste it, and Command Shift O, save this. Okay, we have imported buffered reader and we have imported file reader in order to use those classes, and we have initialized this successfully. Then we have to read this. So let's see what BR offers. See, close is there, lines are there, read. You have read line method. Okay, so you call read line method and close. What does this return? You can see this. So reads a line of text. A line is considered to be terminated by any one of a line feed character, whether it is a new line or a return. You take it as a enter character. A carriage, what happened? A carriage return followed immediately by a line feed or by reaching the end of the file. Okay, it returns string containing the contents of the line. Okay, or null if the end of the file is occurred. As the read method of file reader returned -1 when it reached the end of the file, in the same way this read line method returns null when it reaches the end of the file. Then how to print this? We have to store it in string line equal to, it returns a string line, while we can read all the contents of the file using while line, or line not equal to null, SOP line. Okay, I want to print the number of the line as well. For that I take int I equal to 1 and I print I plus one. Okay, and I do this I plus plus. So yeah, that's it. We will add some more lines here. Lauren, okay, it will not work here. Some lines we will add. So we have 5 lines in this file. Yeah, so we will do this, and at the same time we have to update this line value also. Line equal to br dot read line, call that method. Save this, and here we will print the stack trace. E dot print stack trace, and before that we can SOP e dot get message, and finally we have to close if br not equal to null, then we have to close this. Br dot close. Okay, and the same story, we have to surround this with try catch. Okay, cool. Let's run this and see what's happening. It's taking the same back old class. So I will run as Java application. What happened? Didn't we save this? Okay. We ran that again and it rewrote the hello world again. Okay. Save this. And we will rerun this again. You see line number 1, hello world, and 2 this, 3 this, 4 this, 5 this. This is how we can read each individual lines from the file. Clear? Any doubts? Any questions?
No, sir.
So one question, what is the difference between \n and \r? Isn't it the same thing, sir?
I hope I have never seen what was \r. Today itself I saw.
Okay.
So I have to check. I
Okay,
think
so
return and new line are same. Enter is also called as return, right? Return key.
okay,
in
sir,
the
fine.
keyboard. Mostly both represent or enter key represent both new line and R. So there will be minute difference. I'll check it and tell it to you.
Cool, sir. Okay.
Okay. Any doubts, any questions you have? I'll just repeat or recap whatever it is done here. To read from the file using BufferedReader, we first have to import BufferedReader and FileReader, and we will create the BufferedReader object and create the reference and initialize it to null first, because we have to reuse this or use this BufferedReader reference even in finally block. What is the disadvantage if we just declare this BufferedReader reference inside try block is we cannot use it in finally. Finally block is there that whether try block is executed successfully, catch block is executed successfully, irrespective of that, the finally block will get executed successfully. Then that is why that block is used to close the resources or close the BufferedReader or close the BufferedWriter means releasing the resources that is held. To read or write from the file or read from the file or write to the file, we have to keep some resources from the OS. Okay. OS allows Java program to interact with file system. That means it is holding some of the resources of the OS. Closing it means releasing that resources completely. After this closing, we cannot use this BufferedReader anymore. Okay, that is the main reason that we have to declare this BufferedReader reference outside the try catch block. Okay, inside try block, it will not allow to declare the object or define the object and initialize it to the BufferedReader reference outside try catch block, because that throws a checked exception, which might be the IO exception or more specifically file not found exception. Okay, that is why we have to surround that particular code with try catch block. Here we have initialized it to new BufferedReader object, and for BufferedReader Buffered reader is just a lens. It cannot read on its own. It needs some other reader to read from the file. Okay. So buffered reader and buffered writer, you can think it as the wrapper around to use in order to use internally. These buffered reader and buffered writer uses file reader and file writer itself. So in order to use buffered reader and buffered writer, we have to send file writer and file reader in the constructor along with the path. Okay, here we have given the file reader along with the path of the file to which we have to read, and we use read line method to read from the file. We have more methods like just read and other methods which reads a single character from the file, but that is not the point that we are using buffered reader. We have to read each line from the file. That is why we have used read line, which returns a string. Okay, which returns a string which returns first string when it called for first time. Okay, when it is called consequently one after the other, it will read one next lines by itself. We need not increment the line number or like that to read the next lines by its own. Okay, so first we have called the read line, it returned the first line, and we have initialized I equal to 1, and we have a loop, while loop, where until and unless this read line returns null, we have to read the file from the file. When the read line method reaches the end of the file, then you can tell that it will return null. If it returns null, it is it's like vice versa. If it reaches the end of the file, it returns null. If it returns null, you have to stop the while loop. That is why this condition inside the while loop. Okay, then in finally block, we have closed the resource, or we have closed the buffered reader as we want to release the resources. Clear? Any doubts?
So on question, if I want to read only the words from a file, I need to use file reader and write my own custom logic inside.
Yeah, do you want to use, if you use file reader, it will read each character and it will slow your program. Instead, what can you do? How can you do it using buffered reader? If you want to list all the words that is there inside a file. I was just coming to that. Thank you for picking up that for me. How do you do? I want to print all the words that is there in this file using buffered reader.
Get all the lines and then split the lines.
Yeah, that's it. So you
Correct.
get the line. You get the line. I'll just refactor this code itself. How do you split the line? You can do it better when you learn collections. Okay. You get each strings right. Whenever you get the line, you get strings. You store that in a string variable, or we can do that simply without worrying about collection. I'll tell line dot split, and I will give what? The empty space. So I want to split this line at empty space so that I get every word. What does this split do? What does it return?
Array.
Yeah, what array?
String array.
String array, correct. It will return the array of words, array of strings. You can call it as string array words. It will return all the words in this particular line, and you just print it. How do you print it?
For each.
For each, for string, yeah, word in words, you print, you have another variable, or you just comment this out and you do I plus plus, print the word, plus same thing I'm doing, plus word. Okay, save this and we'll run this. You see there are 12 words in and there are some 2 spaces that I have given, so it's taking even that as the word. So you can do this and you can write logic to cancel even those 2 spaces. Okay, so then you'll get the word like this.
Nice, sir. Okay.
Okay, cool. Anything else? Any other questions? We will do the lab on this. A similar kind of questions you get. You solve this and we'll see if you face any problem. Any other questions? Are you all, did you all understood how to create file object, how to create and access that file object, and how to create file writer, file reader, buffered writer and buffered reader? Everybody?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what this covers the IO topic in Java. Okay, let me see. Just share the screen. This one thing I will just recap. What is the difference between file writer and file writer, buffered writer, and file reader and buffered reader. I'll just share this document to you. You can give it a read. So file writer and file reader classes write and read data to and from files without buffering. Okay. Buffered writer and buffered reader classes write and read data to and from files respectively with buffering. The use of buffering can improve the performance of reading from and writing to the file. Usage of buffer, like your mother tells, go and bring sugar. So you go bring sugar. And again, your mother tells, go and bring coffee powder. You go to shop again and bring coffee powder. Your mother tells, go and bring milk. Will you get annoyed or not? You get annoyed, right? In the
Yes,
same usage of file writer is like that. You tell what once you call the write method, it goes and writes one character and comes back. You again you tell, it goes and write one character and comes back. So that is the disadvantage of using file writer. Instead, for buffered writer or buffered reader, you tell everything at once. Your mother tells, bring milk, coffee powder, tomato, iruli, whatever that is needed at once. You go pick up all the things once and come back. So this is what it does. Buffered writer and buffered reader does like this, works like this. It will have some in memory. It will store data, whatever it is to be read or written, and it will give that whole data at once. It will read whole line and give that line to you. It will read a whole word and give it to you. But if you use file reader, it will go read one letter, come back, give you that one letter, go back, read another letter. So this is how file reader and file writer works, and that is how buffered writer and buffered reader works. So this is the main difference between file writer, file reader, and buffered writer and buffered reader. Okay, this is the thing that I wanted to discuss. So this completes the IO topic. You can watch the video from the portal. It is still more informative from Vikram sir. And if you have any doubts, you can always use the group or you can message me. Okay. Are you all clear with this topic? It's really important. We have stepped a bit higher, guys. We were using just variables to store data. I keep telling this again and again. Being programmers, being developers, we always have this essentiality to deal with data. Now we have upgraded ourselves such that we will have some persistent data in our file, and we will maintain that data or manipulate that data or deal with that data. Okay, so this kind of file management is really important, especially in Uttara to do the core Java project. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
Sir, I don't have a question in file management, but can you tell me what is a package and show me how the package is created and all those things? I'm not clear on that.
To be simple, package is nothing but a folder. Okay, so you see here, so I created a project. Okay, so
Sir, can you share your screen, sir?
Share the file. Yes, share.
Yeah, you see here. So I created the project called com.uttara.test.buffered.writer.reader. So this is the project that I created. Okay, so inside this project you have one package by default, which is called as source package. Okay, I'll just show you some other project that I have. I'll close this so you will get a better understanding. Close this, close this. So I open this. So I was learning Spring and Hibernate like this. Okay. You have here in this particular, this is the package. Okay, which is source/main/Java, and this is another package which is source main/resource. Will not go into this. I'll just show this package. Okay, so we have something called as JDBC, which is used to interact with database from our Java program. Okay, and Spring JDBC is the evolvement of normal JDBC, and JPA is the evolvement of Spring JDBC, and Spring Data JPA is the evolution of JPA. Okay, I was learning each and everything like that. So I created one package. Okay, as I told, package means folder. So I have one package which contains all the related code which is related to course. Okay, and I have all the classes that is related to JDBC, and I put all the classes that is related to JPA, and I put all the class that is related here. Now I have only single classes, but I create, it's like creating separate folders. But when you do this, you have same kind of package name until course, right? You have com.maha.springboot.learn JPA Hibernate, and you have same package here. This continues, but the last thing is that is what it varies. It means that it belongs to same category of kind of thing, but you have an extension. Okay, like this you create separate packages so that you group the classes belonging to that particular package, or it's basically grouping the programs things. Okay, it's nothing got to do with code. to use this particular thing, you see I have this course. Okay, yeah, I have this course class here. This course class is in this package which ends with course. Okay, I have used this inside course JDBC repository. Here you can see it is returning course. In order to use this inside another class which belongs to another package, this belongs to course.jdbc package, we have to import that particular package. Here you see I have imported course class from course package. This is how the working of packages is. Mainly package means folder. Okay, you are going to create a folder and you give a descriptive name for that, what does this contain, and inside that you put the similar kind of classes that are supposed to be grouped together. And to use one class of one package in another class of another package, we have to import that. That's it. This is the overview of package.
So this is fine. One more question.
Yes.
Let's say that the course.java file is the class itself is declared as a package class, not a public class.
Okay.
And if that's the case, without importing the package explicitly, in which other .java files can you use course.java from this file explorer?
If you, as you said, I will change the course.java to package. Okay. You keep seeing where you get the error. Okay. This means the package access. I save this. Did you observe? You got the error here.
Okay.
Earlier there was no error. I do Control Z, save. There are no errors here. You observe when I delete this or when I remove this public. Okay. If I remove this public, then it will become package access, right?
Correct.
So I save this. You see you got errors here. What is the error? It says, where is that? It is not here. Let's see. You see, here also you can see. Because there is no course here, you are getting error here. Okay, you see, you hover on this, change visibility of course to public. That means you can, if a class is a package access, then you can have access only in its own package. Okay, you can use that particular class only in that folder. Another name for package. Okay, here you are getting the error. Here you need not import. I think we are not using course at all here. Even though if you use course, you need not import here in the same package. Okay.
Okay, sir. Clear.
That is the difference.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay, then shall we end the session? I have uploaded that video. I forgot to share. If you have that YouTube link, you can go there and you can see the video there, yesterday's video. Even today's I have recorded and I will upload it. Okay, and I will share the files with you, that whatever I have coded in these 3 days. Okay. Cool. Then thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir. See you.
Thank you.